Hey everybody. So first let me introduce myself. I've been working at the eMAG for about 3 years. My journey started with developing for the desktop website, then switched to the mobile version of the website. I went on to develop the API which powers our mobile applications, and right now I'm the team leader for the mobile apps development teams. So let me start with a disclaimer first. You saw that the title of the presentation is Lessons Learned from Building a 5 Stars app, but we don't actually have 5 stars. In the Apple App Store, you might see that we are at 5 stars because Apple's App Store rounds ratings, and we have been at 5 stars for quite some time. On Android, we are at 4.4 stars, which is quite good. But if any of you guys read the XKCD, you might consider that our rating is quite excellent. Okay. So the story of the eMAG application starts with these 3 guys. In the beginning, there was Julian, who was the mobile owner, Andrei in charge with the UX and the UI, and myself in charge with the technical side of things. We had all been working on the mobile version of the website previously. And just to give you an idea, the app architecture might look familiar. So we have the application, which is powered by our API. At the basis of the API, there is this common library, which internally we call EOS, so eMAG Online Services, which then communicates with a bunch of internal applications. So when the idea of the application came, the first thing we needed to do was build an API, on which we started working in May of 2014. And that's when we had our first major challenge. So on the web side of things, we all only had experience with HTML, PHP, JavaScript, CSS, and so forth, but no real experience with returning structured data. So we needed to switch our approach. And the first lesson we learned, and we're really proud even to this day, is that we decided to leave any decisions on the server side and all control, and really only use the applications as a presentation layer. And it has helped us ever since. So we built a first iteration of the API in about 3 months, and we are ready to start really building the applications. We outsourced development at first for an IT company in Iași. It was not really an outsourcing, as they had some developers which are dedicated to building our applications. And we had 2 big questions, really, on the UX side mostly. So do we use a hybrid approach, or do we go the native way? And just to give you some context, there was no React Native at the time, so our response was a definite no. But even if we were to answer this question today, our answer would still be a definite no. And the second question, having decided that we would go the native way, was should we use the same design for both platforms, iOS and Android, which would have been faster? But the response was obviously no, so we should follow the human interface guidelines for each platform. So having answered these questions, we decided that we should use a tab bar approach on the iOS side of things, which has gotten more popular ever since. And on Android, we started building the application at this time when there was this transition to material design. We made some mock-ups using the Hello team, but we decided to switch to material design, which was getting more and more popular. And we iterated intensely, and even to this day, we're still developing and trying to make the application feel more material. Okay. So after about 3 months of development, we were almost ready to release the application, and then came this big event. I don't know if you guys have heard of it. It was Black Friday. And we had our next big question. So do we release the application in time for users to use it for Black Friday? And the real question was, actually the real problem was that we had no experience with scaling APIs. So this scared us a bit, but we did think of a fallback system, which is in place even today. So if the API would go down, we can still redirect the users to the mobile website. But in the end, we decided that it was not such a good idea to release the application. We did release it like a week after Black Friday. It was mostly a silent release, but the users for the website were really vigilant, and blog posts started popping up online and comments, and everybody was really excited. And after releasing the application, we started monitoring stuff and started thinking about what we should do with the first updates of the application. So we had this problem that we didn't have any crash reporting in the application other than the ones provided by the Play stores themselves. And because they are opt-in and we didn't really have that many users, we didn't have a real idea about how many crashes we had for the application. So we started fixing bugs mostly provided by the users' direct feedback or discovered by our QA team. We did start with some basic analytics, so we didn't use any third-party analytics tool. We were using an internal system, but what we can definitely tell you was that in the first 2 months of the application, we achieved like 4% share of online orders. So again, without promoting the application in any way. I did tell you that we did not have any idea about crashes other than the ones provided by the App Store. So we started looking for solutions. We were using TestFlight at the time to distribute beta builds on iOS, but TestFlight was being shut down by Apple, so we needed to come with another solution. And we found this cool thing called Hockey App to distribute beta builds, and it did provide crash reporting. So this is the first tool we integrated to get an idea about this stuff. And then, to consider the first iteration of the application complete, we thought about making a tablet version. And when talking about tablet, I'm really talking about iOS, because at the time, business-wise, it made the most sense to focus on iOS. I don't know how many Android developers are amongst you, but I can tell you that focusing on Android at the time would have been overkill. You guys should know. And to give you an idea about how much easier it was to build it for iOS, we were able to make the tablet layout in about a month. So we released the iOS application with the iPad support in May 15, and then we started thinking about what we should do next, because we had this iteration of the application ready. So we needed to focus on delivering features and catching up with everything that was available on the web but not in the application. So it made the most sense to build our own team of development. And then, just like the Powerpuff Girls, the eMAG mobile team was born. These are my colleagues. So Bogdan is our product owner. He's here with us today. Lumița and Cătălin, our project managers, also here with us today. The rest of the team, I should mention that it's located in our software development hub in Iași. We have 1 business analyst, Cristi, 2 UX designers, 3 iOS developers, and 3 Android developers, which are also with us today, and 4 testers. So after switching the development in-house, we faced our next challenge. I did tell you that we started using Hockey App for crash reporting, but it didn't really provide symbolication, so it was really hard to get an idea about the crashes. We went to this conference where Twitter presented their new solution called Fabric, which had Crashlytics for crash reporting. We were really impressed, and so were our developers. So we integrated Crashlytics and started getting the real idea about the number of crashes. And right now I can tell you that we're at about 99.5% of crash-free users. we're part of this big global company called Naspers, and we are in contact with other companies from their portfolio, and I can tell you that applications with tens of millions of users are below 90%. So I think this is a great thing. Just to get an idea, when you see those spikes over there, when Crash is starting multiplying, that's when we had some problems, some bugs in the applications. But because I was telling you at first that we really left most decisions on the server, we were able to limit the number of crashes. Okay, so the next step was collecting data. So I was telling you that at first we were only using our internal system, and we still use it to this day, but we didn't have any reports for the mobile application. So in time, we made all the reports which were ready for the desktop and mobile version of the website, also for the application, but we do use some third-party tools. We use Google's Analytics, which at first we implemented through Tag Manager because we wanted to collect data in bulk and just decide, okay, this makes sense to send to Google Analytics, this does not. We later switched to using Google's Analytics SDKs directly because we wanted to use some really specific features. But we also use some other third-party tools. We use Facebook's app events to collect some analytics, and because we were already using Fabric's Crashlytics, we tap into their answers solution to get an idea about the real-time number of users and the daily and monthly active users and so on. So because we missed the first Black Friday after a year in the application's lifetime, we had our first and so far only Black Friday. We did have the experience right now to scale the applications, but we are still really scared. We had some designs for the Black Friday screens which did not provide really the best user experience, so we completely redesigned them, and we optimized as much as possible. We released the updates for the application like a few days before the Black Friday, and on Android we really released it like less than a day before the event. We needed to do this because our marketing department released some press releases and they promoted the application heavily. They said, hey guys, if you install the application, you will receive notifications and you will know the exact moment that the Black Friday will start. We turned off many features from the server, which we considered that were not essential. But the lesson we learned from this was don't over-optimize, because, for example, we turned off the reviews for the products, and users were really pissed off. They started leaving reviews, and they said, hey, you guys don't want us to see the quality of the products. You just want us to buy them. But the reason was really that we wanted things to go as smoothly as possible. We had a lot of installs for Black Friday, but the number of users kept high after the event, so users really did like using the application and continued using it afterwards. So after successfully going through Black Friday, we came to the step of automating things. Right now we use Jenkins for builds for the application. There was this time when I did tell you that we have a lot of backend teams, and every now and then some developers came to our application developers and said, hey guys, I need a build connected to this API endpoint to test this and that. And we were really losing a lot of time. So right now they can make their own builds for any feature we develop, and they can configure the API endpoint. So we started writing automated tests. We recently switched from using APM on both Android and iOS to using Xcode's own solution for UI testing. We're still using APM on Android, but we're really thinking about switching to Google's Espresso library. We also use this great tool called Fastlane for Jenkins builds, but also for generating app screenshots. When we need to put an update up in the App Store, we're thinking about using it to upload builds directly. We use Slack for internal communication, so we have these scripts and bots and third-party integration for receiving real-time updates about crashes in the application, or when a user leaves a review, or when the API team makes a release. So where are we now? We're releasing regular monthly updates, but we're really thinking about switching to a 2-week calendar. The problem was that Apple's App Store time review timeline was about 7 days. They recently got it like to 2 days or even 1 day. We are more focused on measuring feature performance. So each time we think of releasing a new feature, we think ahead of time of what we need to measure, and then decide if we made the best job possible or if we need to iterate on the features. Our team is constantly learning and researching new tools, new technologies and libraries which we can use in our application. So to give you an idea, last year we were ready for the new features in both iOS 9 and Android M months before the official releases, and we were really waiting for the app stores to permit the upload of the builds. We had a really successful thing where we integrated universal links on iOS, and while iOS was at about 25% share of the usage of both mobile applications, it went up to about 33%. And we arrived at the time when we need to pay off the technical debt we acquired in 1.5 years. So we adopted coding guidelines for both platforms, and we're going through major refactors on both platforms. We have like 1.3 million downloads. We're in 3 countries, so besides Romania, we're also available in Bulgaria and Hungary. We're at about 500K monthly active users, so that's great. And so what's next for the mobile application? We're gonna take a really big vacation and drink beer on the seaside. No, not really. But what we are going to do is finally dropping support for iOS 7, which our iOS team is hardly waiting. And then we will start thinking about migrating from Objective-C to Swift. We will start developing the tablet version for Android, because users constantly give us reviews and they say, hey, I can't even rotate the application. Okay, so as last year, this year we will be ready in time for the official releases of Android's new N OS and also iOS 10. So thank you so much. I hope you found this presentation interesting. If you ever feel the need to drop us a line, please feel free to use this email address. Okay, so any questions?
Thank you. Questions? I have one. Okay. Why don't you use a test flight within the app ecosystem? Because they acquire test flight and integrate it to their system.
We actually find it easier to use Fabric's beta.
Right.
Okay, so because we use all of their tools, we found it quite easier.
Fair point.
And also it's easier to integrate it with Fastlane.
Yes, yeah, correct. Because Fastlane got acquired by Twitter as well.
Oh yeah.
So, yeah. Cool. Any other question? Oh, another one. When you did Black Friday, what was the percentage of sales coming from mobile compared to web?
So we actually started Black Friday like 30 seconds or so in the application before making it available on the web. Yeah. We started with about 38-ish% in the morning, and I don't know, the final percent, Luminica is over there. She's our data cruncher, and she can give you more information.
It's interesting how you have all this money coming in from the mobile. Yeah.
We have actually right now, we're at about 17% share from online orders.
Awesome. Oh, there's a question there. Oh, we have, okay.
You have many cases when a product cost is $1, for example, or something like that?
We did have these problems at times, but I think there have been quite a big period since we did not have this kind of problems. So no.
And also it's a back-end problem, right?
Yeah.
Any other question? Sorry.
Just wondering which platform sells better, Android or iPhone? I don't know if you have the figures or not.
I know that we have 35% of users on iOS, and both the conversion rate and the average order value are higher on iOS.
Thank you.
That's probably because iPhones cost more than Android.
Hello. Did you have any technical features that would have been better implemented natively or in the app than on the back end, on the server side? Let me rephrase that. Were there any features or, I don't know, things that would be better handled in the app than on the server side?
So when we really need to keep the logic in the application, we do so. But if there's any possibility to keep the logic on the server side, we prefer to do that. It has proven its usefulness many, many times.
One more? Okay, go for it.
Do you think about implementation of another app, maybe?
So no, not right now. We were thinking about releasing like a supermarket application, which would make much more sense to be a separate application, but we do not have any plans at this time.
Which one sells more, iPads or iPhones?
iPhones.
Cool. Okay. Thank you very much, everyone. Enjoy your lunch, and I'll see you back at 3 o'clock. Thank you.